Joining us now to discuss, Avi Mayer, the former editor-in-chief at the Jerusalem Post. Avi, good morning. The terms of our conversation considerably different than the many that we've had about the war that's been ongoing for the last number of months because of what we heard from President Trump in the Oval Office. I think my big question is simply, is this something that is real? Is this a real proposal? Or is this one of those situations where Donald Trump is putting something out there that lays out a negotiating position and relates to other things that ultimately he wants to see play out in a region or place? I mean, we've seen it with the tariffs lately with Canada and Mexico. Now, obviously, this was stunning to everyone who heard it here in the United States yesterday. How is it being received in Israel? And what's your view of the actual realism to this versus bluster and negotiating tactic?
Well, Kasie, good morning. Look, I've been an observer of this region for many years. I did not have this on my bingo card.
Really?
The president reversing decades of U.S. policy, declaring that the U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip after it is emptied of its 1.8 million residents, will level it, develop it, and turn it into a hub of housing and employment. It is a remarkable, I would say, I agree with you, stunning statement from the President of the United States. And I think your question is exactly the right one. Is this his actual position now? Does he really believe that he's going to invest the human capital, the financial resources, the diplomatic weight that will be necessary to bring this about? Or is this some kind of opening gambit in a long run effort to bring about some kind of grand vision, some deal that he's been talking about regarding Iran and Saudi Arabia and Israel? My instinct, my rational instinct is to say the latter, but Donald Trump is an unpredictable guy, and this may be his actual position. We'll have to see what the next few weeks and months bring.
So, Avi, let's say that this is him executing the art of the deal, just because I think it's a little easier to imagine how this might play out than it is to imagine the entire Gaza Strip being cleared, Palestinians being moved elsewhere, and the whole thing becoming, Mar-a-Lago on the Med. But if, in fact, this is something that has to do with negotiating, can you sort of talk a little bit about the question around normalizing Israeli relationships, especially with Saudi Arabia, in a way that would take on Iran? Because, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but my understanding of the situation is that the Saudi demands for that include a two-state solution for Israel and Palestine. And that, of course, is something that's not tenable on the right in Israeli politics anymore. So if Trump puts this out there as his negotiating position to start with the ultimate goal of normalization, something that he worked on, set up with the Abraham Accords and other things. How does that impact potentially getting to a place where Israel and Saudi Arabia essentially, lay down their arms in the joint effort to take on Iran?
Look, I don't know that there are many people in this region who look at Gaza and the West Bank and say, we're ready for a Palestinian state. I think there's broad recognition that even if that is the ultimate goal, it's not going to happen anytime in the near future. But you're right that Saudi Arabia has said that a pathway towards a Palestinian state is a prerequisite for any kind of normalization arrangement with Israel. It's possible that the president is putting this out there as this very dramatic statement that he will then withdraw from in exchange for some kind of movement by Saudi Arabia in the direction of normalization, even absent the establishment of a Palestinian state. That has been a large priority of his for many years now. Of course, it's a priority for Prime Minister Netanyahu as well. And they all share the same goal of containing the prospect of a nuclear-armed Iran. That is not a reality that any of the rational actors in this region, or quite frankly, the world, want to see. And it's possible that this is the president's effort to push the region in that direction.
Well, I have a feeling there are a number of conversations between you and I set for the future about this. So, Avi, I always appreciate having you on the show. Really appreciate your level-headed expertise on all things. So thanks for being here with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right.